Hey YouTube, what's up? Big video for you guys today. I really kept you guys in the dark about this entire upgrade as a whole. Entirely. I didn't really talk much about it at all, in detail at least. So this whole video here, this is going to be a two-part series talking about the upgrade. This video today will be about the livestock end of things. And my next video will be about the equipment, the plumbing and all that good stuff. The equipment side of this entire project, this entire system. But yeah, today let's just talk about the livestock. Now, first and foremost, I didn't even tell you guys the size of this tank. This is a 120 gallon, 4x2x2, so 4 feet long, 2 feet tall, and 2 feet wide. Now, the reason I opted for a 4-foot 120 as opposed to the average 5-foot, or I believe there's a 6-foot version as well, 120, was because of the fact that the original location that we had planned to put this tank was the same exact place, the same exact location that the original 75 was in. Obviously now we switched the location. Now this is in the very front of our house, right across the way of the front door, so it's the first thing you see when you walk in, but which is pretty cool. But that's the biggest reason I opted for a 4-foot, as well as I originally had wanted to keep the same light fixture to the T5 Coral Life. That's changed now, and I'll go into more detail about that in my next video. But yeah, so it's a 120, 4-foot. There's about 200 pounds of live rock in the tank. Now this aquascape is by no means final. It's definitely not final. But for the most part, I think it looks pretty good, for what it is. I think I did a pretty good job there. I messed with it mostly last night, but there's a few things I need to adjust and change. Like if you notice over here, this rock fell and it's hitting the glass, so I'll have to move that back up against the overflow. But yeah, this is definitely not final, but I think it looks pretty good, for what it is. I'll show you a side view here. There's a look at the side of it. And show you guys the right side as well. But yeah, so there's about 200 pounds of live rock. Now, the majority of this live rock, I'd say probably 95% of it, is from my 75 gallon. So it's fairly mature. Tons of coralline, tons of sponge, tons of feather dusters, all that good stuff. Now, this sand here. Keep in mind, guys, I did not use any of the sand from my 75. This is all brand new, 100% Nature's Ocean live sand. I definitely opted to go with a 4-foot deep sand bed as well. Same thing in my 75, so I did the same thing here with my 120. And you guys can see, I mean, there's definitely already life popping up here and there. A huge difference from my original sand bed than 75, which I used mainly dead sand. You guys can see there's a huge difference. It's not even comparable, in all honesty. But yeah, let's see here. So the 100% Nature's Ocean live sand, about 200 pounds of live rock. This tank, I didn't let you guys know yet. This tank is about a month and a half to 2 months old at the most. At the very oldest, it's about 2 months old. And you guys saw the sand bed. It's already populating like crazy. The live rock's all doing good. I haven't had any outbreaks, no algae issues, no issues with cyanobacteria, no illness outbreaks. So everything is doing phenomenally well in this tank so far. I mean, really, it's just doing awesome. Now let's look at the coral in the tank. Now this is probably one of my very favorite corals I've ever kept. This is, I believe they call it a green lace gorgonian. Now the story with this guy was he was in the display tank at my job, where at the local fish store where I work. He was in the display tank, just getting picked on. I mean, just ripped apart by tangs and damsels. He was just doing horrible in the tank. So I rescued him and put him in my tank, and you guys can see it's just doing fantastic. You guys can see all the polyps extending out from the sides of it, the edges. And I just think it looks awesome. I've definitely become a huge fan of gorgonians. They're definitely one of the more underrated corals in my opinion, and I'm looking forward to stocking this tank up with a bunch of photosynthetic gorgonians, preferably, obviously, aquacultured, for obvious reasons. Over here, you guys will remember, most of you, these are the green star polyps from my 75, and they were just doing terrible in the tank, weren't coming out at all. They definitely don't look, they still look pretty wimpy right now, but they're coming back for sure, especially considering the age of this tank. and the fact that these were the first things added along with the rest of the live rock to the tank. They're doing pretty darn good, So yeah, another coral from the 75 would be this Galaxia here. Now this one was I gave up on it completely. I considered it live rock. I put it in this tank thinking it was just going to be another cool looking, oddly shaped live rock, and it actually came back. Now this is pretty insane considering the fact that it sat in a trash can filled with salt water and live rock in the dark for about 2 weeks, or maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, with no light, jammed in with a bunch of live rock and salt water with a pump moving the water around. And it's already, you can already see it's coming back. By no means, it doesn't look good by any means, but it looks better for sure. Definitely a lot better than it did in the 75, and I'm pretty impressed by that. It's pretty impressive, Another coral over here is a purple mushroom from the 75. Nothing that special, but whatever. There's also a fairly large red mushroom coral in here somewhere. Now, a lot of you guys might be asking yourself, you might be wondering to yourself, wait a second. I thought you had a whole bunch of coral. It seemed like there's a lot more variety in your 75 with the coral than in this tank. Now, what happened there? Actually, all that coral from that tank right now is sitting in a tank at my work at the local fish store. There's a tank there that says not for sale. So if let's say one of my coworkers is having an issue with his coral and his tank is just not doing good, he can put it in that tank without worrying about it being sold off, where it can recover and eventually he can bring it back to his tank. So all my corals from the 75 for the most part are in that tank at the store right now. And I will be adding them once I upgrade the lighting, which I'll obviously talk more about in my next video because of the equipment. Now let's start with the inverts. Right here is my one of my Scarlet Reef hermits. I have about 10 of those, 10 or 15 of those total in this tank. And these are the only species of hermits I will continue to keep in my systems. I just think they're much safer. I've never really had an issue with them going rogue and picking on corals. I think they're a lot prettier in my opinion. They seem to last a lot longer. They're not aggressive. They don't kill each other off. They don't kill snails off normally. So I like those a lot. They're also known for picking at algae here and there, and I just think they're good scavengers and they're fun to have. You guys can see back there is my Bahamian red serpent star. Excuse the bubbles. The pump's starting to pump out some micro bubbles. But the Bahamian red serpent star, one of my favorite things in the entire tank. Took forever to find him. Finally, I got him at the local fish store for about $40, which is a great deal. If you guys know about these stars, that's a really good deal. I've got about 8 or 9 serpent stars in the tank. That's the only one I can find right now. You can see the leg of one back there. But they're awesome, especially when I feed. They all come out. Right there is my scarlet skunk cleaner shrimp Voodoo. I name all my cleaner shrimp Voodoo. He's doing great. Cleans the fish from time to time, the fish that come up to him and ask him to be cleaned. He's doing great. Normally he's out more than this. He just kind of course, when I whip out my camera, he goes into hiding, just like everything else in the tank. But yeah, he's doing great. This is the Hawaiian feather duster worm that a lot of you guys will remember from the 75, doing fantastic. I believe it's actually growing a new head. It'll be hard to tell in the video, but I believe it is growing a new head, which is pretty exciting to see. Like I said, everything in this tank is just thriving, absolutely thriving. Down here you'll see this is my I have about 10 or 15 of these orange chestnut snails or cat-sized snails. Now I don't think that they they have basically similar eating habits and similar behavior as the Astrea snails, the regular turban snails that you see at the store. However, the color is really unique. They're not all that common. They come from the Caribbean. You guys can see one up there by the overflow. I just think they look pretty awesome and eye-catching for sure. I mean, if you're going to get snails, may as well get the bright-colored orange ones. That's what I think anyways. Over here I have a single Astrea snail, turban snail, whatever you want to call it. It's the only one I have in the tank, and it's pretty crazy. When I added it with the other snails, a bunch of baby Astrea snails started popping up everywhere, so I'm assuming this one was pregnant when I got it, and it just, started, laying eggs and all that good stuff, or, whenever I added it to the tank. Over here you guys can see my pincushion urchin. Now, a lot of you guys, especially if you've been long-time subscribers of mine, you guys will know that I'm a huge fan of pincushion urchins, and urchins in general, basically. I mean, I think they, nothing really compares to them when it comes to plowing through algae, you know what I mean? I mean, this one, I've had for a little bit, maybe 6 months or so. And this one back here, a lot of you guys will know. This one's, I mean, this guy was one of the original, the very first additions to my 24-gallon Nano. So I've had him for years and years and years, and he's just still doing awesome, still just a beast when it comes to any kind of algae. I think urchins are definitely, in my opinion and in my experience, the very best way to eradicate any algae of any kind. Also, as far as inverts, I also have various Nacerius snails, dwarf Sears snails, and I have a fighting conch in here somewhere. Also a pair of zebra nearite snails, who I believe are reproducing. There's a baby one right there. So that's it for the inverts, I believe. Also, I have 3, maybe 4 emerald crabs. I can't really find any of them right now, but yeah, that's just about it for inverts. Now, as far as fish, obviously, you know, everybody loves fish. I'll show you guys this guy here. This is my male Lubbock's fairy wrasse. A lot of you guys remember him from my 75. Hardy as ever, doing fantastic. Awesome color, awesome personality as usual. Over here, this is a orange skunk clown. And guys, I'm not even joking. This is my favorite, all-time favorite species of clownfish I've ever kept. And I've kept quite a few. I've kept oscillaires, I've kept black oscillaires, I've kept perculas, I've kept a pink skunk. By far, this is my favorite species. Unfortunately, he was wild caught, not tank bred. Obviously, I would have preferred tank raised, tank bred. But she's doing awesome. Awesome color, awesome personality, very unique looking. Not, you know, pretty simple looking for a clownfish, but definitely my favorite. Over here, you might have a tough time seeing him, but there's a margarita or red striped cardinal in here. What happened was, while I was gone for 2 weeks, I was on vacation. My grandma was taking care of the tank, and when she fed the water, she put the flakes. She only fed flakes, and the flakes went down and got sucked down the overflows, and my cardinal fish chased it down and is now stuck in the overflow. So I'll have some time chasing him down. Now, he's got a pretty crazy story of how I acquired him in the first place, but that's going to be a whole separate video when I talk about his, you know, individual care requirements. Also, my last fish is a starry blenny. I have in the tank a male starry blenny. He was also stuck. He got sucked down into the sump, and I managed to rescue him. He was down there for about 3 weeks, and I finally put him back in the tank last night. And he's loving life. He's definitely happy to be back in the tank, the display tank. But he's doing fantastic. I did have one loss in the tank while I was on vacation. I did my blue reef chromis, which I loved, just kind of vanished, unfortunately. But yeah, that's been the only loss I've had in this tank. And so far, this tank is thriving, doing fantastic. Huge updates for you guys. A bunch of new videos coming up. Sorry for the hiatus, you know, where I was gone for so long. But I'm back for good, and I'm going to be making a whole bunch of new videos. I want to make sure I don't, you know, run too close to the limit here, but like the video if you like it. Please leave any comments or questions if you like my tank, if you hate my tank, if you have any questions concerning the setup or my tank or saltwater tanks in general, or any of my fish or whatever. Leave a comment, please. Feel free. Subscribe if you haven't. If you have, I really do appreciate it. And yeah, really excited about this tank. Hope you guys are too. Comment, rate, and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye.